Okay, in this video, I'm going to go through check-in again, but I'm going to go through the exception uh, scenario where a visitor or a vendor arrives at the gate, but there is no registration already in the system for them. So I'm going to start with the visitor. So you're going to start the same way. You're going to go to a lot. We'll just go to 16 here, my lot. And let's say that visitor's name is Pat Fox. And so he's at the gate and he says, I'm going to lot 16. My name is Pat Fox. You look up here and there is no Pat Fox. So what do you do? At this point, you have to call the resident, either in my case, me or my wife or whoever the residents are at that lot. Um, if you don't know those numbers for some reason, you can go to lots and you can go to that lot. So you could, once again, you could type 16 or you could type Northcutt. And so I'll do that. And you can see my number, and in the test environment, Rose's number is not here. In production, it is. So you could see both numbers and you could call those on your phone. So I'm going to go back now to the check-in. So you've called, and one of two things is going to happen. You got a hold of one of us, and we said, yep, he's a friend. Sorry, should have put a registration in, let him in. Or they're going to say, no, send him away. The send him away part's easy. You just send him away. If they say, let him in, you should ask them, is this a one-time, or would you like for me to create a registration? Because you can do that all from right here. So let's say I said, yeah, it needs to be for a week. He's visiting. So what would you do? You would hit new. You would put in his name, Pat Fox, and you would say he's temporary. He's going to be from today, and the default here is a week. You could change those dates to be whatever. If they said 2 weeks, you could make it 2 weeks. And then the phone number is optional. So you can get his phone number and enter it or not. So once you've entered it, you then go next, and it says lot 16, Robert Northcutt, which brings me back. Actually, let's go back here. Whoever you talked to when you said Pat Fox should be the admitting resident. So if you spoke with me and the default here is the primary resident, it should be Robert Northcutt, which will be the case probably most of the time. If you spoke to my wife, you could select Rose. And that way we know who admitted them, even though there's no registration. So I'll put in Pat Fox, temporary, I'll take the week, and then I'll go next. Do my quick review, open the gate, check in, and we're done. So you've checked in a visitor who did not have a previous registration. And at the same time, you have also now, if I go to lot 16, we can look at the visitors. Now Pat Fox is registered as a visitor, and that registration's in there for a week. So you've created the registration on behalf of the resident. So that's the exception process for checking in visitors. Now let's do vendors. Part of vendors is easier and part is not. So let's look at it. So I'm going to click on vendors. So now the same scenario, a vendor shows up. Let's say ABC company shows up, and it's just staff, no particular employee. Oops, there's one there. I didn't want to do that, so I don't want to start this video over, so I'm going to pick somebody else. ABC Furniture, staff, and there are no lots listed. So no lot has a vendor registered. This ABC company is not registered, so what do you do? Well, I sort of did this in the earlier video. You will then go, well, first of all, you need to call the resident and verify the vendor should be let in, and that's the same process as we did with the visitor. So assume they say let them in, you'd go show all, you'd select the lot number, in my case it's lot 16, and that is really it. You go next, and you do a check-in. Now, the difference here is that there is no registration created for that vendor. At this point, if the resident asks you, you can create a registration for the resident, but you need to do that through the process of creating a new registration outside of check-in. And I'm going to have a separate video a little bit later that shows you how to go in and create a new vendor registration or visitor registration independent of check-in for a vendor and for a resident. So that's the exception process. It's not any really more difficult than the other one. The key step, though, is if the registration is not in the system, obviously you have to call the resident to verify entry of the visitor or the vendor.